So, Erev Tov, good evening. We're in the we're at the weekly Dvar Malchus Shir, the weekly Dvar Malchus class with the sichas of the Rebbe Shlitah Melech Mashiach in regard to the concepts of Mashiach and Geula. In the hard copy, we're on page 306. 306, the right-hand column on the towards the top, and in the PDF file, for those that opened up the PDF file, we're on page 8. Page 8, also the right-hand column, Ois Vav, letter Vav, and we'll start. And from this is understood, also according to the occurrence that was mentioned above. Hachlotas v'achrozas manhigei umas ha'olam al dvar ha'maimed u'matzav devechitetu charvoisam li'itim. The decision and the proclamation of the leaders of the United Nations, the leaders of the nations of the world, in regard to the status and the situation of, and they will beat their swords into plowshares. Be'erev Shabbos Parshas Mishpatim, the eve of Shabbos, the portion of Mishpatim. If we're already mentioning the nations of the world and the UN, we have to immediately decree a rectification. And how it happens, that's already up to Hashem. But the head speaker of the United Nations, after he heard that our soldiers went into Gaza, and we freed this one woman soldier that was being held hostage out of the 200 and something hostages that are still there. It's maybe 230 now that the count is up to. What does this irrational and total, I have no other word to call him other than an idiot, a fool. He goes and he makes the proclamation that the Israeli soldiers went into Gaza and they took a woman hostage. And this is a war crime, he says. This is a war crime for our soldiers to go into Gaza and to take back our hostages is a war crime. Rahman al-Itzlan, Hashem should save us from such total wickedness. How can anyone ever even bring themselves to utter these words on their lips? And it should be with the revelation of the Rebbe Shlitah Melech Mashiach immediately now on a good and revealed basis. But nevertheless, coming back to where we are in the Dvar Malchus. So, what was the proclamation? The proclamation: "V'chitetu charvoisam li'itim." They will beat their swords into plowshares. And we're talking about the war of iron swords. This is a concept which is needed. This is a concept that is understood and it is obligating. Gam b'seichel ha'adam, also in the intellect of the human being. Mishpatim, the laws, as we call them in Jewish law. For the human seichel, the human intellect, calls for the existence of the world according to honesty and according to righteousness, according to justice. Through the negation of war that brings about destruction and total destruction. Rachamanu litzlan, Hashem should save us. V'ad sheyavi l'shviras klei hamilchama, to the point that it will bring to the breaking of the war weapons, v'chitetu charvosam, that they shall beat their swords, v'afichosam lechelim shemiviim te'elis liyeshuva shel olam itim, and bringing them, transforming them to that which brings a benefit to the founding of the world, which is itim, into plowshares. And nevertheless, the Meshach Kol Haderes, during all the generations, hisnalu ribui milchomas ben umas ha'elam, shegarmu heres v'churban ba'elam, benigud la'mischayav b'seichel anushi. All these past generations, the Rebbe says, there were wars that were waged. The majority of the wars that were waged between the nations of the world brought this exact result: the destruction and the total destruction of the world. And this is benigud la'mischayav b'seichel anushi. This is the opposite of that which is delivered according to the intellect of the human being. And we must say, says the Rebbe, that the real reason behind the fact that in our period of time, this recent period of time, it is seen to the eye the striving in order to finish and to totally culminate the period of wars in the world. And this is going back to 1992. Unbelievable. Tafshin Nun Beis. Nun Aleph, second. I thought it was Nun Beis. I think it's, 1992. What is the real reason in order to go for the strive to bring about the end of all wars on the planet? V'ascholis tkufa chadosha, and the beginning of a new period of era in time. Shel kiyum ha'olam al pi tzedek v'yosher, of the existence of the world according to honesty and justice. Shalom ve'achdus, peace and unity. Kamudgosh b'yoseh b'achlotas v'achrozas manhigi umas ha'olam, as is stressed, exclusively stressed in the resolution and the proclamation of the leaders of the nations of the world, be'erev Shabbazu, the eve of this Shabbos, he leirak mitzad chiyuv haseichel. This is not only because the intellect of the human being obligates this or jurisdictates this. Mishpatim, which these are the laws that are understood according to the intellectual comprehension of the human being. Why? The Rebbe comes and says, because the intellectual comprehension for the need to have peace and justice and honesty, this existed also in all the previous generations as well. And we didn't see that such a thing happened. Such a proclamation, such a good and such a resolution between the leaders of the nations of the world, that there should be peace and transformation of the swords into plowshares. Elagam ubiikar, but, and this is the main reason, because we are coming closer to the time of which the Torah has proclaimed, Misinai, from the time that the Torah was given on Har Sinai by Hashem through Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish nation, v'chitetu charavoisam li'itim, and they will beat their swords into plowshares. This is the reason that it's happening, the Rebbe says, because otherwise all the other previous generations, it also was not something that the human intellect would bear, to go on to see all the bloodshed and all the wars. No. Why now? Because this is the time that it's supposed to happen. This is the time of the great unity and peace that the Torah speaks about. And according to this, we must say that the resolution and the proclamation of the leaders of the nations of the world, the Erev Shabbos Parshas Mishpatim, the eve of the Shabbos of the portion of Mishpatim, al derech hamayim u'matzav, in regard to the statute and the situation, that they will beat their swords into plowshares. He is. This is as a result and the resolution and the proclamation of Malkei Rabbanon, of the leaders of the world, which are the rabbis, the Torah scholars of the world. Who is the king? Who is the rabbi, the king that made this proclamation? That here, the King Moshiach has come. Obviously, it's the Rebbe that made it, and we all know it. It's printed way before this Sikha. Beginning with the Torah law that was derived by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, the leader of our generation. And as we know, the Rebbe calls himself the leader of the generation, not only the previous Rebbe, that already for long ago we have completed our actions and our service, the Meshech Managolos, for the duration of the time of exile, and we are ready for the greeting of the countenance of the face of our righteous Moshiach. And so also is the Jewish law that was resolved by the rabbis, Umeirei Hayra, and those that give the institution of the laws, those rabbis be Yisrael in the Jewish nation, that the time of the redemption has come. Full stop. And there will be a king from the house of David that will stand up, and he is the candidate for being Moshiach, and to the situation and the stature of the Moshiach bevadai, that here he is, and we can call him he is certainly Moshiach. Psaktin Sinai, and this is a law that was derived from the time that the Torah was given at Mount Sinai. That was drawn and was implemented in the boundaries of the material world, not only in the spiritual worlds and the heavenly realms. To the extent that the leaders of the nations of the world, machlitim or machrizim, they come and they make the resolutions and they make the proclamation mida'atam, on their own on their own intellect and understanding, and in their courts of law, of which the Rebbe mentions their courts of law have a justification, and they have the weight, because the Torah says that Dina de Malchusa, that the law of the land, Dina, is the law that everyone must abide by. In other words, a person is not allowed to desecrate the laws of the land. Obviously, we have to know that this is up to the point where the laws of the land don't desecrate the laws of the Torah. But otherwise, these laws have the weight of the Torah itself. And this is similar to the situation and the stature of they will beat their swords into plowshares. And we must say that the stressing and the connection of this resolution and this proclamation to the Jewish law that was derived from Mount Sinai, Misgales B'Yom HaShabbos, is revealed on the day of Shabbos. In which all the concepts that occur the eve of Shabbos, they have their elevation when? On Shabbos. This also includes the occurrence of the proclamation of the leaders of the nations of the world, to the holiness of the day of Shabbos. The person that prepares their food the eve of Shabbos will eat on Shabbos in a manner that he literally grabs the food that is in front of him. Which is the time that we read in the Torah, the entire portion of Mishpatim, b'tzibur, in a public, with a blessing before and after, in which we see is stressed in this portion that also the laws that are justified according to intellectual comprehension, they also were commanded, and they come and they originate from where? Their origin is from Har Sinai, from Mount Sinai. And similarly, in the case that's being dealt with in front of us, that the proclamation of the leaders of the nations of the world, al Dvar in regard to the fact that they will beat their swords into plowshares, al pi chiyuv sichlam, according to the justification of their intellectual comprehension, mishpotim, laws, shedanin gam umasaylam barakois shalem, that also the nations of the world, they judge in their courts of law. This is as a result from the law of the Torah, Misinai, which originates from Har Sinai, al Dvar bias Moshiach Tzidkenu, coming and giving us the notification of the coming of Moshiach, our righteous Moshiach, Teichef Umiyad Mamish, the Teva Nir Vanigla, on a good and revealed basis, and it should be Mamish immediately now. Yechi Adonenu Morenu Verabeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Le'olam Voed. Amen.